Hi guys, so today I'm going to be showing you how I edit my photos for Instagram and for my blog. I did a video like this a while ago and it did pretty decently. People liked the tips, but now I have a couple new tricks up my sleeve, so I thought I would share those too. For the photo in question, I used my Canon Rebel T4i with the standard lens. Not a crazy amazing camera, it's probably 6.5 years old by now. But it does the job. And all you really need for a good photo is something that's in focus and well lit. Like, you could take that on your iPhone, you could do anything, you could use a point and shoot. Like, it's really a lot easier nowadays to take a good photo. Then the apps that I use are VSCO and Facetune. And Facetune is probably the best $5 that I've ever spent. And something that I always say is I don't even edit my face really on Facetune. I mean, I have, but for the most part, like recently, if you look at all my selfies on my Instagram, I just edit the backgrounds of my selfies and I like edit the brightness and stuff in VSCO, but I don't actually like smooth my face or like make my face look smaller or anything, because once I start doing that, I just like my acne scars go away and I'm like, that doesn't look like me, I'm not gonna post that. But this video is going to be product focused, so I'm going to be sharing how I edit a product photo that I would use on Instagram or my blog for a review, which I'm going to use it in a review. But if you guys are interested, I can do one on how I edit pictures of myself, or like how I edit my selfies. So make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you're interested in that, or comment below. So here is the before photo of these candles that I shot on my dining room table. And then this is what I edited it into, and I'm going to show you every step of the way to get it to this final stage. One thing that's important to me is to select which photos I want to edit. It can be overwhelming because you take so many photos and only one or two of them are actually great. So I delete the ones that are blurry, out of focus, this, that, and the other, and the ones that are nice, I leave a little heart on, and then I kind of reevaluate. In this case, since I'm doing a blog post, I'm cool with using 2 photos, but if it's an Instagram, I know I have to narrow it down to 1 for the most part, unless I'm doing a slideshow. So I just leave a heart with the ones that I like and then delete the ones that I don't. I start my editing process in VSCO and I just upload the photos that I want to edit, and then I get straight to editing. And I'll show you a few of my favorite things, but my favorite filter is A6 in VSCO, and I always turn down the intensity of the filters just because they can be a little too much for me. I like to use the sharpen tool a little bit to crisp up the edges, and then something that I use occasionally is the saturation tool, and sometimes I boost the saturation and sometimes I actually take away the saturation. And then a white balance is another great one because sometimes you have yellow lighting or blue lighting and you really need to kind of minimize that and make your photo look as similar to real life as possible. I've had fun playing with the grain tool recently as well. I think it's fun. It adds a little bit of imperfection to the photos and a little bit of a sexy vibe. And then one of my go-tos is the skin tone tool, which you can use for things that are not skin toned. One side makes your photo a little bit more pink and the other side makes it a little bit more orange, and you know I'm always on the orange side because that's my favorite color. That's enough for my preliminary editing of the photo, and something that's cool that you can do is actually copy the edits and paste them onto another photo. So when you have similar photos like this, you can simply paste the edits and take all of the work out, and you don't have to edit the photo twice. And here is where the magic happens in Facetune, my favorite, best $5 investment ever. Load your picture that you're going to be using, and then immediately after loading it, I go straight into the whitening tool. I love that tool because it just makes all of your whites whiter. My method for it is to just whiten the whole photo and then erase the things that I don't want to be whitened. That's easier for me than trying to be precise with the whole thing, but that's just how I do it. The next crucial tool for me is the patch tool, and this is great to get rid of pimples or whatever, but in this case I have some smudges on the packaging of the product, so I'm just removing those. And this one's awesome because you can really scroll in and get into the nitty-gritty of the photo and get that speck of dust that's bothering you. the little hair that's on the product that you didn't notice when you're shooting it. Next, we're gonna hop into filters, which is the biggest thing that I've learned since my last video, and I always choose the black and white silver under the paper section of the filters, and that just turns the image black and white. You can tone it down by scrolling down on the photo, or you can brighten it up by doing that. It's just the intensity or the opacity of the filter. And what I like to do is to clear the screen and then color in the background, so the entire background is black and white, and you can just really focus on that pink. It's a little bit less noticeable in this because the background behind the chair was already super, you know, black and white almost, but it just took away any of the warmness that was there. I use this one to edit the backgrounds of my selfies a lot. I love whitening the backgrounds of my selfies. It just makes me happy. Back to the filters in the lighting section, one of them that I like is the expose filter, and if you have anything that's showing up a little bit dark, this is super great to really brighten it up, and you can brighten it up in specific places. So for this photo, I thought that the actual wax of the candles looked a little bit lackluster, so I decided to brighten it up. And this was the moment that I realized that I fucked up and forgot to whiten that little part between the matchbook and one of the candles. So this is tricky because you have to go back in the whitening tool, and whenever you go over it, it gets a little bit more noticeable, like it definitely layers. So I had to basically re-whiten the entire thing and redo that whole process. Kind of a pain in the ass, so maybe save the whitening for the last step if you really so please. I just have a very specific way of doing things, and I never do things the easy way, it seems. So I'm sure you thought I was happy with the photo there, but no, we're still not done. You import that baby from Facetune back into VSCO, and we're back at it again at Krispy Kreme. Now I'm changing the exposure because I thought it was a little bit bright, so I had to turn down the exposure because I added so much extra. And contrast is nice if you feel like the image is either not enough contrast or too much, and in this case, since it's so moody, I thought it was a lot. And then for the saturation, sometimes when you whiten something, the saturation looks a little bit ridiculous, mainly with selfies, so you have to tone it down. And then I did the skin tone again just because I wanted to really emphasize the pink of the packaging. It's just super monochromatic, which is very much my style. And you want to be careful with the white balancing after you whiten it and all of that, because changing the white balance is going to affect the entire image and not just the pink part. You probably thought we were done again, but bitch, no we're not, because I am hella complicated. And now I like to crop the photos, which you can do at the beginning, it's really your call, but I don't see the vision for the image until basically the very end. So I just decided to crop this photo to a 4:5 aspect ratio, which is the largest size Instagram will allow. And once I crop this image, you can see where there is a mark between the chair and the wall. So I put it back into Facetune because I did not like having that white line of the wall, and I wanted to edit all of that out so it would just be a black background, because nobody can really tell how long the chair is or how wide it is or whatever. So I just used the patch tool with the black from the chair and just cover her up. Super easy fix. Now you're ready to save that bad boy and post it straight to the gram. Hope you guys like this photo on Instagram, since I gave you all of my tricks of the trade, but let me know what you think in the comments. So that's how I edit my photos. I hope that it was super helpful for you guys. You might have picked a little new tricks up. I know I certainly have learned a lot since the last time I posted this video. It's seriously gotten to a point where my sister will ask me to Facetune her pictures. Her friends will ask her to ask me to edit her photos. So if you want me to edit your photos, feel free to Venmo me $5 at Olivia Frescura, and I'll do it probably. All jokes aside, hope you learned something, and let me know in the comments if you want the video on how I Facetune my selfies. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!